Look at this. She actually thinks she belongs here.
Step one more inch, and I will put you on the sidewalk in front of everyone. The cop's voice was smooth, loud, and proud, like he owned the room and her fear at the same time. Laughter flickered around them, phones tilted. And the black teenage girl he was humiliating stood still, jaw tight, heart racing, not knowing the next sentence spoken in that ballroom would turn his power into panic. The charity gala shimmered like a dream that only certain people were allowed to live in. Gold light spilled from chandeliers, sliding across polished floors and crystal glasses. The air carried perfume, roasted food, and the quiet heat of money. Men in tuxedos moved in clusters. Women in glittering gowns smiled like they had practiced it for years. The band played soft, warm songs that made everything feel safe and perfect. That was the lie of the room. Even beauty can hide cruelty. Amara Lewis walked in with her invite held neatly between her fingers. She was 17, slim and composed. Wearing a simple navy dress her aunt had pressed twice, not because it was expensive, but because it mattered. Her shoes were clean, her hair pulled back, her posture careful. She had forced herself to breathe slowly in the car before she came in. This night was supposed to be a door. Youth scholarships, community leaders, networks that could change her future. A family friend had said her name belonged in rooms like this now. Amara wanted to believe that. She had trained most of her life to earn belonging. Her mother, Celeste, was a nurse who worked nights and still came home to sit at the kitchen table with Amara's homework, spread out under the yellow kitchen light. Celeste smelled like soap and hospital halls, tired in her bones but gentle in her hands. When the fridge was low, she laughed anyway. When people stared, she kept walking. She raised Amara alone, not with bitterness, but with a kind of steady pride. She taught her daughter to speak clearly, to look adults in the eye, and to hold dignity like a shield. "The world will try to shrink you," Celeste used to say. "Do not shrink back." Amara listened. She studied until midnight, won debate contests, volunteered at shelters, and carried responsibility the way some kids carry backpacks. She wasn't fragile. She was forged. But even strong kids bleed inside when the world decides to test them in public. That test found her within minutes. Officer Trent Barlow stepped into her path near the entrance line. He was hired security for the governor's annual fundraiser. Late 30s, broad chest, uniform crisp, voice shaped by years of being obeyed. He had already had enough from the open bar to feel bold and careless. He looked at her badge like it offended him. He looked at her face like he had already decided. Something about her place. He said her invite looked fake, said she didn't fit the tone of the event. He asked who she was and why she thought she could walk into a room like this. He said it loud enough for nearby guests to hear, said it like a joke, like entertainment. A small crowd formed in seconds. A donor chuckled under his breath. A woman smirked behind her glass. Others went quiet, not because they were kind, but because they didn't want trouble with a man wearing a badge. Their silence wrapped around the moment like a net. The party kept sparkling, but Amara's world tightened. Amara felt her throat dry. She felt heat rise in her neck. She pushed panic down because panic feeds people like Trent. She offered calm instead. She said her invitation was real. She offered to step aside and confirm her name with staff. Her voice was polite, steady, controlled. Trent waved her off. He said no, he was security, and she was his problem. He leaned closer, lowering his tone. In a way that still sliced, he told her he had seen girls like her before trying to slip into places they didn't earn. He said he could escort her out, and no one would care. The cruelty wasn't only in his words. It was in the way he enjoyed the room watching him. Amara stayed still. She had promised herself she would not beg for dignity. She repeated calmly that she was invited. She took a slow breath, keeping her face steady. While her heart beat hard, Trent reached for her wrist. That small motion became the moment everything turned. Amara stepped back, eyes locked on his hand, and said firmly for him not to touch her. Her voice was not loud. It did not need to be. The circle heard it. The music kept playing, but the air sharpened. Trent's smile collapsed into a glare. Authority hates being corrected, especially by someone it already decided was beneath it. His voice rose, now full of threat. He called her disrespectful. He told her she should be grateful he was being nice. He said she was about to learn what happens when people don't follow rules. His words leaned on a system that expects silence from kids like her. Around them, the bystanders froze. The moral tension spread through the room like cold water. A party meant to raise money for young people was watching a young person be humiliated. People who spoke about justice and community looked away or stayed quiet. They chose comfort over courage. Amara felt something deeper than embarrassment. She felt disappointment. Not just in Trent, but in every adult who watched and did nothing. She could feel tears trying to burn behind her eyes. She refused to let them fall. Her silence was not weakness. It was her power holding the line, and then the room shifted. At the far end of the ballroom, a quiet ripple moved through the guests. Conversations stopped mid-laugh. People straightened, stepping aside without thinking. A small group entered with calm purpose, their presence bending the room like gravity. Suits, aides, and at the center of them, Governor Daniel Hart. He had arrived earlier than planned. A father's instinct had pulled him faster than his schedule. He heard Trent's raised voice from across the room and followed it. He saw the tight circle, saw a uniform leaning in, saw his daughter standing, calm with pain behind her eyes. He moved forward, steady and silent. Trent did not notice until the crowd's attention slid away from him and nailed itself to the man behind him. He turned and stiffened. His confidence stumbled like a man stepping onto ice. The governor asked calmly what was going on. Trent started. Fast explanations about security and unauthorized entry. His words tripped over each other. He kept talking because he could feel power slipping out of his hands. Governor Hart looked past him at Amara. For one heartbeat, his face softened. Father. To daughter. Then he looked back at Trent, calm turning to steel. That's my daughter. The sentence landed like a door shutting. No shouting. No drama. Just truth. The ballroom fell into a silence, so clean it felt like the air had been wiped. Trent's face. Drained of color, his swagger collapsed in real time, like a tower turning to dust. He stammered apologies, saying he didn't know, saying he was doing his job. But the room had already seen who he was when he thought no real power was watching. The mask could not be put back on. The governor did not humiliate him with anger. He did something stronger. He spoke to the room in measured words. He reminded them why they were here, to lift young people, not crush them. He asked how many times kids like Amara had been treated like this in hidden corners. He asked who had witnessed it tonight and stayed quiet. Every question felt like a mirror. Dropped. Shoulders tightened. The laughter from minutes ago died in shame. Then he gave a calm instruction to his chief of staff. Trent would be removed from the event and placed under immediate review. The security contract would be examined. Accountability would be real. 2 senior officers escorted Trent out. His body was still broad, but he looked smaller with every step. Not because someone screamed at him, because dignity had exposed him in full light. Amara stood steady, breathing slow, hands cold but spine unbroken. Her father stepped to her side and asked softly if she was okay. She nodded once, then let herself lean into his arms for a brief hug. Not because she needed saving, but because she needed to feel that she was not alone. Guests approached quietly. Apologies were low and real. One woman admitted she should have spoken up. A man said he failed her. The organizer promised her safety. In respect, the room did not clap. It didn't need to. The respect was visible in humbled faces and careful voices. Before the music returned, Governor Hart said a line that stayed in the air long after the party ended. Respect is not a favor, it is a duty. How you treat someone you think has no power shows who you really are. Later on the terrace, city lights spread below like distant stars. The night smelled of rain on stone. Mara told her father she hadn't wanted him to rescue her. She wanted the room to do right on its own. He nodded, proud and sad at once. He told her her calm was power. He told her to never let someone else's smallness decide her size. The next morning, the story spread across the state. Not as gossip about a governor flexing power, but as a lesson about a girl who stood tall before anyone said her name. Trent was suspended pending investigation. The scholarship board added youth advocates, including Amara, because she had earned trust no resume could buy. This story is not only about a cop losing control, it is about a young girl holding dignity when the world tried to take it. Silence can be cruel, but quiet courage can change a room. Respect belongs to everyone, not just the people with titles.